Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to discuss our 2023 plan for growing squash here on the homestead. Let's get going. Squash appears to be a favorite for gardeners the world over, offering everything from the early crookneck varieties all the way down to your butternut winter varieties. It seems to offer something for everyone. Here on the homestead, we grow a few different kinds. We grow summer squash, we grow winter squash, and it plays a huge part in our food security plan. So today I just kind of wanted to go over what we're growing and how we're growing it. The first type of squash that we grow here on the homestead are the early crookneck squash. This is your basic yellow squash. We usually will put it in the ground in early May. You'll start picking them into May, early April. They'll usually be done by the end of June. What we usually do with our yellow squash is we eat them as soon as we get them. I'll take them inside and we'll either put them with a stir fry, I'll roast them or steam them. Periodically, Leslie will like for me to fry them. That's probably her favorite way to eat them, so what can you do? The second type of squash that we grow here on the homestead are zucchinis. Zucchinis are quite popular for most gardeners. The thing I like about zucchinis the most is you can eat them just like you do the yellow squash. You can steam them, you can roast them, you can fry them. My personal favorite way is roasting them with a little bit of thyme. But the other thing you can do with zucchini is you can shred it up really good and you can make zucchini bread. And zucchini bread, once it's cooked, it freezes really well. It'll come out of the freezer. It'll be nice and moist still, and you can eat it in the wintertime as a sweet treat. The final thing we're going to grow this year in the homestead from a squash perspective are butternut squash. Now this year we're only growing the one winter squash. Last year we grew spaghetti squash and butternut squash, and because they're vining and they get pretty big, we decided just to kind of take it down to one and try to maximize the amount of squash we get from the butternut this year. And what we like to do with it is we like to cure the butternut squash and eat it over the winter. Once you cure it, it'll last, 3.5 months in the pantry, as long as you keep it somewhere cool and dry. So our plan for squash this year is pretty simple, really. We hope to have the yellow in the ground ASAP. Like if we have a warm end of April, I'll have it in the ground right then. We're hoping to be able to start eating fresh squash middle of May. And then as we go into the summer, we'll get more and more zucchini. So start with your early yellow crookneck and eat as much of that as possible. Work our way into the zucchini, and we're going to try to eat as much of it as possible as well. Now, the extra zucchini, what we'll do with it is we'll take the extra zucchini and we'll make zucchini bread out of it. And we'll put that stuff in the freezer. The yellow squash, it doesn't freeze as well, like I said, so we'll just give it away to the neighbors if we can't eat it all. And then, of course, the butternut squash, we're really going to press that this year. We're going to put it in one of these pallet beds behind me and kind of let it stretch its leg a little bit, see how much of it we can get. Last year, I think we went into the winter with about 12 really good-sized butternut squashes. We're hoping to double that this year. Just for the record, we ate a bunch of that butternut squash in the summer. We probably could have, ate something else out of the garden and saved it. So that's kind of the approach we're going to take with it this year. Growing squash can be a bit tricky depending on what part of the country you live in. Here in Zone 7B, there are a lot of pests and fungus and disease that you have to deal with, especially if you're having a wet spring or early summer. So squash specifically likes to have loose, well-drained soil, and they are heavy feeders. So the way we do ours is we plant them in the beds that have been amended with fresh compost. Once we see the first flowers come up, just like all of our other vegetables, we put it on a every 2-week regiment. We use a liquid fertilizer. We mix it at half strength. I say again, you do it every 2 weeks. You won't have any issues. Your plants will be nice, healthy, and strong. One thing I wanted to add here at the end of the video is your summer squashes can be grown almost all summer. So you can put squash in the ground in July and you can still, get yellow squash or zucchini by the end of the year. Because of that, what I like to do is I like to keep, you know, I don't know, 3 or 4 zucchinis in the greenhouse going at all times. It never fails somebody loses a plant, so you can always give those away. But what I like to do, if I have a specific plant that has a large infestation, or it's not, you know, putting off as much fruit as I want, or it's just being a pain in the rear end and causing a whole lot of labor for not a whole lot of, you know, give back, I'll just pull the dadgum thing out of the ground, and I'll go ahead and grab a new plant, put it in there, and then by the end of the year, you'll have fresh zucchini. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your garden this year. With all that out of the way, I'd like to thank everybody who made it here till the end. Until next time, I hope everybody takes care of themselves. Peace.